All right, it is 6 o'clock, so I would like to call this Town of Selma Recreation Advisory Board meeting for November 18th. Call this meeting to order. All righty. So, we're looking for approval of the agenda that you have in front of you. Everything look all right? Any changes, additions, corrections? Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You also have in front of you the minutes from our last meeting. They were also emailed to us, so if you got a chance to review them, look at them, see if there's any additions, things that didn't get clarified. Anybody have any comments to the minutes?
To approval.
I got a motion, second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All righty, then we get to number 4, discussions. First one up is the Railroad Days Partnership presentation. Great.
Per y'all's request, I provided y'all with the railroad day breakdown as expenditures as well as, sponsorship that came in. Do you have any questions?
I just wanted to confirm on these annual event sponsors, that was the full amount of their annual event sponsorship, not a percentage of the annual event money, right? So, like if we're looking at All American Festival or any of our other annual events, we won't include that money as part of anything for those events because we're putting that full amount here. And I'm saying that as because like when we're looking at the net between sponsors and expenses, we don't want to double dip and look at that.
I was gonna ask the same exact question a different way. What percentage of that 2,500 goes for railroad days?
Right.
I will double check and see. I'm not 100% sure and I don't want to tell y'all wrong, but I will make a note to double check on that for y'all.
Yeah, because with 2,500 is their total for the year.
Correct.
Which is supposed to be spread across
All the
X
events.
number of
Yeah,
events.
so I'll get a
So-
percentage for y'all on that.
I had the exact same question.
Because I railroad days, this
Huh?
is always a hot topic.
And along those same lines, I guess, and we may have discussed it already, what do we consider the 3, 4, 5 annual events that this money is getting
Okay.
divided into, or is this annual events, are these already specific annual events that we host, or are these inclusive of a whole lot of things?
It should be just the events that we have on the calendar that was approved.
And on the expense side, I had a question about the carnival and the fun time amusements. Does that amount include the credit for
Yes,
Tickets,
that's what we
sales.
paid out to them. That was
Okay.
with the ticket sales deducted from that.
Okay.
Anything else? Right, and that, anything else on railroad days?
Well, some of it is like railroad days, but some of it is just, like a general question. Is there a, minimum, like, expected expenditure amount that we have to think something's gonna hit before we get multiple quotes? Does that, I mean, like, you might not go and get quotes for moms because you know it's only gonna be like $200 or $300. Or like, what's the minimum amount that we have to anticipate spending before we require multiple quotes?
What does staff have authority to purchase without authorization?
So really anything over $500 we have to put a PO in for. But, other than that, it's we always get approval for things, of course, but the only thing that requires a PO is over 500.
I am not,
And what's our RFQ number? Where we have to actually go out for bid?
I say I'm not sure.
Okay.
I didn't think he was know
Okay.
that one.
okay. And, I mean,
trying to
like,
get to the same place, but
yeah, and I am not saying this is a good price, bad price, or whatever, but I know one of the things, like, looking at this, that I was like, okay, so in, like, shirts in general, that was what, almost $4,000. So did we get quotes from multiple places on prices of shirts and things like that? And then my other question actually about those shirts is, the t-shirts to sell at the festival, was any of that, I didn't see any of that listed on the other side where we're just talking about sponsors and sponsorships. So is that revenue that's recognized somewhere? Or was that, we're just selling it to people at cost and so there was no revenue from that?
No, there was revenue for that, and I can get that number for you.
Okay. Part of the reason I'm asking that is because I know we have talked about in the past trying to possibly offer spirit stores for like
Yes.
the sports. So it's like, okay, well, how'd that work in this instance? Would it be something we want to look at for the sports aspect?
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Michaela have been working behind the scenes on that as well. And we'll get back on that. It did it did hit a pause, but we'll definitely get back on that for you guys as well.
Okay. I don't have anything else for railroad days.
so, okay. I see our total expenses. I see sort of our revenues from sponsors. But what are those miscellaneous revenues? Can you get us a total of what, and possibly broken out of what the other miscellaneous revenues were from the event?
Everything that was brought in, yeah. So I'll see what I can do for that.
Because, I mean, we are talking about $130,000 event. So it's not a cheap event, and if we're supposed to be advising on things that we can do better, I mean, right now we're saying we have about $12,000 offsetting that from sponsors. So that's putting the city and the town in response for $115,000 to pay for the event. Not to say that we shouldn't be having it. It's a great event. We need it, but we got to figure out what's what.
And I know this one was a little extra because it was the, 50th?
The 50th.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's not really it. It's more about, does that bring up questions like, do we start talking to event coordinators to manage this whole thing and bring these costs down?
Right, no, I understand.
We'll look into that for y'all.
Yeah, I would appreciate that so that we can understand.
I have a not budget question about railroad days.
Okay.
Was there, I know it's a big event, it goes all over town multiple days. Was there any way to account attendance?
So, yes, I'm actually, I have a meeting with the Visitors Bureau tomorrow before our, athletics meeting. And they have a system that shows kind of like pings and like
Yeah.
different things like that. So I'm actually going to try to get some reports from that tomorrow. So I'm actually looking into that because I was interested as well to know that. and like what worked, what didn't work, what brought in more people particular nights, if it's something we should keep, not
Yes.
keep, that kind of thing.
Perfect. You followed my line of thought. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else for road days? Okay, moving on, 26-27 budget discussion. You should have in front of you, there was a spreadsheet for the general funds, revenues. There is a expenditures, recreation expenditures, and then there are two separate breakdowns that you saw for sports. Any comments, questions? So, and before we get started, I'm going to ask, what are you guys expecting out of us reviewing this? 26, 27, excuse me. Yeah, 26, 27 budget discussion. What are you expecting out of this advisory board to bring to the table for this?
26, 27. What?
No, we gotta have that
I
budget
know.
ready to hand to them.
I'd say we've
in
actually
3
started
months.
working on
I
that.
know.
I'm not sure. This was something that Alexis was gonna bring, but she was unable to attend tonight. So, I think more so just, I know y'all were wanting to see the, master plan and things, make sure everyone had laid eyes on it. And I'm not 100% sure, so it may be something we need to discuss next meeting when Alexis can be here. If I can talk with her, then I'll know what she's kind of expecting from it.
Okay, so I'm gonna vent for a second. Our next meeting's in 3 months.
Mhm.
You need a budget in 3 months. How can we do that? How can we look at that and have an honest opinion of that? If staff's not here to help us out, to give us the answers we need. I want that on record, because
Yes, sir.
it's frustrating. That means we now have to discuss if we wanna have a special meeting and ask the manager for a special meeting, because staff's not here to support us and help us make these calls. I'm not jumping at you specifically. I'm just jumping at the fact that this is broken.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions I can on my part. If you have any, I think more so, and also, so I actually, me and Michaela partnered and did the reports from the past sports to show how we were breaking even, losing money, gaining money from sports, things of that sort. So that was actually my report. I do have knowledge on that one.
And I appreciate it, actually.
Yeah,
Because
but
the only question I do have is baseball and softball for 24-25.
Yes,
Had no numbers.
we didn't have any teams
We
make.
didn't have anything in 24-25 for baseball or softball.
We only had T-ball teams make.
Okay.
well, I appreciate this getting put together, but I have concerns because the numbers on this don't match the numbers that are on this. And I guess, for example, I know this was, I left my glasses in the car, so if numbers are a little off, sorry. And I know this is just year to date through April 30th, 2025, so it wasn't necessarily through the end of the fiscal year. So I tried to pick a sport, for example, that I would have anticipated by April 30th, all the expenses and revenue and everything was in the budget part. And outdoor soccer year to date, 4/30/2025 was $2,029.04. Well, for the 24-25 sports, just looking at outdoor soccer, the uniforms, equipment, and miscellaneous, that was $2,390.21, something like that. So the numbers weren't matching. So I'm like, there's either stuff here that's not here. And unfortunately, because numbers is my outside of these four walls, it's my thing. It's difficult sometimes for me to be like, well, how do we, which one should I be taking its face value? Because it really should be this one, because this is the one that town uses for everything. This is just for us to be able to kind of see where we're at, but I'm like, these bottom line numbers aren't necessarily even right as far as what
And
a
we'll,
sport lost. Or
I'll look at that for, so this was to give a general idea, to be honest, and I understand that I didn't.
Right.
So I understand where you're coming from, yes, and we can take a look deeper into that and kind of see where the differences are and what we may have missed versus what we may have put that was supposed to be there. So I'll take a look at that and see.
and because you're going to be looking into it, like one thing that also jumped out to me on this one is for 2023, 2024, there was no referee pay. So where did it fall? Because according to the budget things, there was a specific line item that was for officials and referee pay. So I'm like,
Of $6,100.
yeah, so where's, and again, that's just because we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we need to adjust the sports? Is there anything we can do? But I'm like, we can't really. And I know this sounds like I'm not trying to be a witch about it. It's just, we're all trying to do our best, and I'm struggling to make sense of some things when it's hard for me to be like, okay, well, do we need to look at cutting here? Or if it comes to, hey, do we need to look at possibly doing a revision to prices or whatever? It's hard when the numbers.
And
aren't
that's kind of
matching.
why I had my initial question of asking, what do you expect from us? Because there's a lot of things that jump out. We didn't have football last year. So my question is why we got $6,000 in the budget request for football this year. Is there something that you guys plan on doing to promoting football that we need to spend another $6,000 on football? When we just prior to the year, this last year, we bought a bunch of new stuff that has not been used because we didn't have football.
Right.
So where is this next $6,000 going to? What is that expense purchasing?
According to this, we've already spent 3,400 on football.
This is on the new budget, the 26, 27. That's why this is what this budget conversation is for 26, 27.
Right.
And so I'm kind of wondering why we're requesting, and if that is that old.
That's the year previous, so that's what I'm saying. So it spent of the 7 that was budgeted for 25, 34 of it was booked out already by 4:30.
And we didn't even have a season.
We didn't this year, but this 2024 we did.
Right.
So the fall of
So-
that year we did.
Fall of 24, we had football.
Yes. Because 25 teams didn't make this past fall. They didn't make.
The 2025 teams we didn't have.
So,
Correct.
So on here, we're showing for football, $3,418.82 spent for fiscal 25. On the budget.
Okay, never mind. I see what you're looking at. Hang on a second.
Am I missing something?
No.
Okay. I mean, point it out. I'm usually the guy that does the behind the scenes transfers of these math numbers, not the one that has to do my CPA kind of thing on it. So,
So that may be been an 8. Well, wouldn't have been, because football would have been over by January.
It's a fall sport, so it is August through
August through
Oc-
October.
August through
So
October.
it would have been completed in 24. So our fiscal year budget starts,
July
July
1st.
1st.
so between July, or no, so this is 24, the year we had it. 24, because the 25 hasn't started yet. So there should be a 0 if this is up to date, and we are now, this will say year to date.
Football was last in the 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And this is the 25, 26 budget.
Right.
And then this is 26, 27.
So yeah, that number's not in the right spot.
Yeah, because on this one, this is when football had all the refunds. Wait.
So that, it just goes, because
Yeah, because.
my question is, how in-depth of a conversation
But.
do
there-
you
yeah.
expect from the?
Get me to
no.
understand this.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're going with this, is how in-depth do you want, and what do you expect from this advisory board? Because we have given recommendations and we have talked about things, and I vented last time at this is stuff gets done anyway. You know, we have a capital outlay budget going through of $13,000 to redo the tennis courts. We have a $16,000 outlay for a sound system, or $23,000 to refurnish the tennis courts, and that's $16,000 for a sound system, and $15,000 for a volleyball system. And my question is, we had conversations about these, especially the volleyball, other sports that are going to be included. And our recommendation at the time was, hey, let's work on the stuff we have. Let's work on improving what we have and moving forward. And just like I said last time, all of a sudden we've got flag football, we've got some adult sports coming in, we've got volleyball. So my question going back to this is, how much of an in-depth dive are you expecting out of this board to come back with recommendations on how to improve or recommend for this 26-27 budget?
I think, obviously, I don't do the things, so I don't know, but my hypothesis, educated guess, is the reason that there is, I don't know about the labor, why there's labor. I could see us having to pay the fee and then because we were hoping to have a team and dues would be due to the association for the football. But I'm wondering if there were expenses because we were switching from tackle football to flag football. So we got the equipment and stuff for flag football, but then didn't have enough signups. I'm wondering if that's why we have expenses.
And that's highly possible.
You know, because we had the previous year purchased a lot of equipment for tackle football, but then there was some issues during that season. And then we were transitioning from tackle football to flag football during the time when we had to do all the refunds because we didn't have enough people to sign up. So I would imagine that's why there's football expenses, because of that transition from tackle to. And I have a question that, for example, if we had recently purchased new tackle football equipment, because we did have some old equipment before it was decided that we were going to try flag football, do we ever do anything to like reach out to other communities? Or I know like state surplus has the state surplus things for seeds, goods or whatever, to try to recoup cost on things like that, like if we transition away from a program. That just asking the question because I don't know if we do that.
What, so like surplus, if we were to trend, yes, we do surplus our stuff. If anything that's not good anymore, whatever it may be, we surplus it out. Yes.
Or like if it was brand new equipment and we're not going to be able to use it because we're not going to do tackle football anymore, do we try to reach out to other communities and say, hey, we've got new equipment, we're not doing this type of
Yes,
program?
so we go all those routes, and then
Okay.
either way, it has to be a surplus. No matter what we
Right.
do with it, we would surplus it out to XYZ.
I didn't remember that ever coming up since Ethan left. Right after Ethan left, I think Philip
Yeah,
was
we have surplus
through it.
multiple stuff. Multiple things.
Yeah.
I don't know about any advertising or reaching out or anything like that, but I know we have surplus stuff and gotten some return.
No, as hey, a little bit's better than it's sitting in a storage room.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
Because I just have questions, and I guess the football one was just stood out to me, is if you want us to go through these manager recommendations and make a recommendation or ask questions or get explanation of why we went from, you know, roughly about $9,000, 9,500, maybe 13, and we're jumping up to $16,000 for a request for recreation officials. There is some that went down quite a bit. Concessions was one of them. You know, I don't remember us doing a whole lot of concessions, but yet there's a $2,000 request in there for concessions. Are we gonna ramp up concessions?
It was with the hope of eventually maybe possibly being able to provide concessions. That was why that line item was left as that was. That was it's the hope.
Yeah, and when we did have football, I know that there were some football games that had concessions at them. I know we have talked about before trying to offer concessions, but at one time it was, oh, we've got a local community group that's going to come in and do it, and then that kind of fell by the wayside. And then I think there was some issues like the school didn't want us to offer concessions or something, so but I know going through the master plan, it's you know, concessions isn't mentioned in that
And we
again.
spent a lot of time figuring out what kind of resources we have, cataloging, getting the room over there at the Harrison Center or at the gym. So we should have a much better idea of the equipment that we already have. So that was another question I had with all these requests for funds. What are we requesting? What is those funds going for? Is that the initial outlay for uniforms? Is that going to be soccer balls, footballs, baseballs, pickleballs, tennis balls, volleyballs? You know, what is our expenditure for the other one that doesn't have any real equipment is cheer. So it's the $2,000 just for the uniforms, and then we're going to get I say that in quotes, reimbursed when we have our cheer sign up.
So the 2,000, yeah, that would be for the uniforms, and we actually this past season bought new pom poms for the girls. So it'd be one of those things. If it were to come out, we had more girls than we did pom poms. We'd have the funds there to purchase more pom poms for the uniforms, pom poms, anything that we need for that.
And the rest of them are inclusive of any equipment.
Equipment, uniforms, whatever may be needed for that particular sport.
Okay.
And I know it's kind of broad, but
So and my question is to get these actual numbers, and you know, staff spent a lot of time going through and getting a record of what is over there. We have kind of a guesstimate of what we're going to do for baseball, you know, or how many folks are going to sign up, what we're going to get in return. Does that $3,000, it seems a little low. Are we plan on buying any catcher's gear? Are we plan on buying because I know that when we had it, we didn't have any good catcher's gear when our boys played. Are we going to upgrade and put any gloves so that kids that are less fortunate, at least we have some gloves for them to use, bats, balls, anything like that. That's kind of what I'm getting at for how in depth do you want this board to go look at this? And I think to your point is to come back and give you guys honest feedback in what we've seen, because we have people on the board who participate in these sports programs, who look around and we see what's needed at the parks. And I think we have a lot of good comments.
I guess,
Go ahead.
here's where I landed. If we're being asked to give an honest opinion of a budget to be turned over to the council, I want a special meeting just to dedicate to the budget itself, to to talk about every line individually, and I want the subject matter expert to put the numbers on the paper to tell us why the number's there. I don't think that's an unfair request.
No?
I'm not sure how all this works, but
We-
I will
we'll
make
have to
note of it.
We'll have to request a special meeting, and the purpose of it, that's just to get it on record and
Okay,
recorded to say
Perfect.
what it is.
Okay, I was gonna say, sorry, I'm a little,
Yeah, now Don can ask for the special meeting and we get the meeting.
perfect, yeah, that,
But in my opinion, we need a special meeting to cover this budget. Cause this isn't something we can cover without the people sitting here to answer the questions. And we honestly can't drill these numbers down without, I mean, cause you're right. I mean, how much did it, okay, we put $3,000 for equipment for baseball. Okay, how much of that's for catchers, mitts, catchers, mask, all the, protective gear, everything like that. How much of it's for bases? How much of it's for, what's it all for?
and
We have
actually,
no idea.
I will, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Mhm. No,
I
go
will
ahead.
tell you, Alexis is actually asking all directors, I'm interim right now,
Mhm.
to go in and to deep dive into each budget line and say, hey, explain why you're getting this amount of money for that sport.
And so let me tell you where I sit.
Okay.
I want to make sure that when you give us a number and you say, I feel strongly about this, then when the council comes and goes, why are you asking for this? I will stand up and yell as loud as I have to get them to approve it. That is the honest truth, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We are here to make Parks and Recreation the best it can be. The thing I can't do is I can't go to them, and when we say there's $3,000 for this, I'm just using that as an example number, and they go, why do you need $3,000 for that? I don't know.
Fair
And I
enough.
can't stand up and yell.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's
But
actually,
I will stand up and yell at every one of them if I need to.
so,
I mean, why do we need $2,000 for pickleball?
If it's an arbitrary number, then we say, okay, let's adjust it.
I say, so, and that's what, she's actually requesting, like I said,
Mhm.
I'm in the process of working on it right now, but she's asking for, like, when I turn in my budget, it's gonna have to be listed where these funds are going to be going and why I asked for the amount I
Yeah.
did.
When do you think you'll have that ready?
I know it
Big
has to be
ask.
before February, I think, I'm pretty sure. I think it's what this, I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that, but I know it's gonna be sooner than later.
Because we'll need we would need to have that special meeting scheduled to sit and go over with you what every one of these lines is and why we're asking for it. And in all honesty, if you get that, I can honestly look at the past and say the past's the past, and nobody that's in the room was a part of making that happen. So there's not much use other than somewhat historical to go dig up all the mistakes that are in it. But for me to be able to move forward, for me, I need to be able to sit in the room with you at a table where you're actually sitting and us discuss these things, where we can do that.
Okay.
And that way we can get from you guys, hey, this is really what Parks and Rec needs to be the level that we want it to be at. We've got the board telling us they want, Selma to be noted for this. Well, here's what it's going to cost to be noted for this. And this is why. That's my opinion.
So my question for you is, if I go in there and we request a special meeting, we would like for you to have the majority of that work already done, so that our special meeting also is not for naught.
Yeah.
So productive. So, if you can get a date in February when your budget is going to be required to be in, and if it's not too late, I want to give you time. I'm sure we're going to have comments. I want to give you time to go back and digest what we've said. If you can give us 2 weeks prior to when you have the February deadline, that's when I will try to schedule our special meeting.
I was trying to remember what our lead time has to be. He told us one day, and I'm completely blank on how many days we have to give it.
I thought we only had to give like
48 hours is what I
notice
think,
for
but
a
2 weeks
special
is
meeting.
So, yeah, so I
Yeah.
think 2 weeks is plenty.
I will get that date to you and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and that way we don't have to sit here and do this back and forth, because we're not getting anywhere.
Wait,
Nope,
oh, yeah, no, that's,
nope, C, tennis court update.
yeah, master plan was
Oh,
part
I'm
of the
sorry.
budget discussion.
Oh,
Yeah, it is. It's the last line on the budget discussion,
Oh.
but we didn't actually go over it at all.
excuse me. Thank you. So you also have in your packet, copy of the master plan. Everybody had time to read. So if I'm not mistaken, this master plan, we have already seen an iteration of this plan prior. This one looked a little different. So, but at a quick, not quick, but a glance through and reading it, I saw some of the same issues that I saw with the first iteration. So it's like they weren't corrected or they didn't stick the first time through. So, anybody have any, if you have anything to say, I guess I'll ask you first for if you have anything to say about that, master plan. And again, what do you expect from this advisory board on the discussion of this master plan? Because we've already gone through it once and kind of, I thought, gave,
I've been through it 3 times, with part F and everything else. So yeah, it's been through it quite a few times. Just one question: are you the owner of this document at this point, being the interim? Are you being classified as the owner of the document?
No.
Who's going to be the owner of the document? Who's going to be responsible for edits to this document?
Oh, don't want to tell you wrong. It's not what I submitted, so I really.
So this document is years and years and years old. Councilman Overby created this document, 6, 7 years ago, something like that was the original date on it. And it has been a living document since then, that has been sometimes set on a shelf and sometimes edited, sometimes added to for different reasons. This one has gotten a little cleaner, but it still has problems. Would be a polite way to a nice way to put it. It has added some of the things, but I'm just trying to figure out who's going to be responsible, because I have a feeling they're going to put this on your shoulders.
I honestly do not have an answer for you. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Well,
I really
so
don't. I'm
I
gonna
would-
be honest with you.
That's probably more of a preparatory statement than anything. You should probably be prepared for it to become your responsibility to do the edits to it. What do you think?
but again, it goes back to, if nobody's taking responsibility for it, we already went through this once, made edits, made changes, made corrections.
And I'm
And-
just being brought in on the conversations of
Sure,
it. So
sure.
I'm just getting my toes tipped in the water with this. I'm more than likely, yes, if along the way somewhere I'm gonna fall into place here, but I really just barely into the water on it right now.
And totally understand that, and understand we're in a motorboat that we've been running for a long time at full speed at this point. So we're probably a little aggressive.
And I'm sure, and I'm sorry I can't be
That's totally
more
fine.
for you.
No. It's one of those things.
I guess at this point, I'm almost wondering if it would be better, just throwing this out there, and especially knowing that we don't have our meetings as often as we used to, should we, like, with Leah, sometimes she would email us documents and ask us to submit to her any changes or revisions or whatever by a certain timeline. She would update or respond with additional questions. Like if we were requesting something and it didn't make sense, she would email us back asking questions. And then we would come together at the next meeting and go over with the revisions. Is this something that you would think, especially since she may not have the revisions before, should we like redline it and email and then come together with a, you know what I mean?
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
this,
do.
this whole overview in this master plan, what is the council's what are they planning to do, and how quickly do we need to get this plan in place so that it can start to be utilized and implemented?
Because I believe when you read through it, it's supposed to be updated annually. So is it
It should
up,
be.
updated annually, you know,
So
going along lines with the physical budget stuff?
one of the issues, and part of why this is a hot button for me, this is a huge scoring point on things like Part F grants, a huge scoring point that we have lost 2 years in a row because it's not up to date.
Yeah.
Even the intro, even the overview, literally the most recent number in it's 2020. Population of Selma's doubled.
I was seeing that when I read it today. We don't have more recent
Yeah,
data than that.
Yeah. So, our population's doubled since literally the most recent date on this thing. That's scary. So that's part of our problem with this is that, like, when we did the first Part F attempt, this was woefully out of date. And then our second attempt went with basically the same one, and we lost points on both times. It's gonna have to be used for every grant application we do, because they're gonna wanna see what is our master plan. This thing's not fleshed out completely. I made some of the edits to it. I know you made some edits to it. Some of the edits are in there. Some of them aren't. I have no idea who has those original requests for edits and who owns it, but it definitely needs a lot of work. I agree. I think that they should have some time to have at this document, but I struggle with the concept of should it be us redlining it, but at the same time,
Yeah, I mean,
we may be the only holders of the information that needs to be in it, so that may be no choice.
because like, and one thing, and this was, I think, a newer thing that I happened to notice going through it this time, is wasn't it just this year that there was a dedication ceremony where the outdoor basketball courts at the Harrison Complex got named? And so we're saying Blakely Richard B. Harrison Gymnasium, but we didn't put the name of the basketball court. So now we need to add the name. I honestly don't know what they were named. I don't remember. And you know, Jacqueline J. Lacey tennis court. So we need to add that name. So it's just, that's why I'm like, would it be better if we went through with the things that we remember or we see?
Because to go back to your point, this is what paints the picture for somebody who doesn't know, and somebody who reviews grants, not for this type of thing, but for, in my line of work, this is all I have to look at and review, and I don't have people to ask questions for, so we, go through it as much as we can. I still have my edits. I'm sure I can find them. I can find the email that I sent. If we could get a copy, a Word document or a PDF, something that is a little bit more, not a little bit, but is more, we can edit it. Is that something that, again, goes back to, is that what you guys are requesting from us and that is what you want? Or is this for us to review and just say, yep, looks good?
Yep, needs work, and then move on. Which is it?
This was not one I prepped. I'm gonna be honest with you. This was not my work. This is not something I prepped for you guys.
Of course.
I'm not even gonna assume because assuming just not the answer.
Mhm.
I can get the answer for you and let you guys know is what I can do, what they're expecting for you guys for this, and get that answer to you.
Perfect.
Now you can go.
Now I can go to tennis courts? All right. Tennis courts update.
So me and Michaela were we've been walking, looking. We actually took pictures of courts. We know there's the budget for it in the budget line. We are going to revisit that March, closer to the end of fiscal year. Trying to be financially smart with our finances, but we are on top of it and are looking into it. So when March rolls around, we have we're starting to get some ideas and ready to go. So when they pull the trigger and say, hey, y'all go ahead, we have an idea and ready to go for them. We have not let it fall through the cracks. We are looking into it.
What has been spent this year and done this year?
On the tennis courts, nothing yet.
Oh, but there has.
There has? Oh, well, I was on maternity leave, so maybe there has. I misspoke. I'm sorry.
So we went out there on a rainy day and we dug up are we talking Edgebrook or are we
I was gonna say,
talking,
which ones?
which ones? We
Yeah.
got,
Tennis courts is tennis courts, it's all of them, so we gotta include anything we did up in.
so we've only got 2 sets of tennis courts.
The
We've
Edgewood
got
ones
The
and-
youth-
Edgebrook
right.
ones
And the youth ones.
and
at-
the youth ones at Lacey. So
Right.
is this inclusive of all of those, or is this inclusive of Edgebrook, or
From my understanding, it was the bright ones, but like I said, I'm not 100% sure.
the
Bright
which ones?
There's
Not
not any
bright.
at
I'm sorry.
Lacey
Blakely.
ones
Yeah,
at
the
Blake-
Lacey. Yep.
at Harrison.
Okay, so it has
Complex.
nothing to do with the
Okay.
ones at Edgebrook.
I don't want to say yes or no. I don't have an answer.
Okay. I just
I'm
asked.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Last year when we did the budget, when we went through this conversation a year ago,
I thought it was Edgebrook.
It was Edgebrook.
Well,
It
then,
was.
then
It was.
that's what y'all discussed. Then, yeah,
Because-
sorry, I wasn't a part of it.
You're
when
fine.
y'all discussed
You're,
it.
no, you're fine.
Edgebrook is where we had a resident.
Yeah.
The lady
come.
complaint
Yes.
was about
Yes.
Edgebrook.
Yes, I was here.
But she
for
also
that.
thought
complained
there was
about
a-
Harrison and the fence not being high enough, but that's
Yes,
because
because
of
it got
youth
turned to a
courts.
youth court.
Yes.
Because I thought there was like some kind of drainage problem that needed to be studied before we could look at resurfacing, because we had to figure out what the drainage issues that was.
Correct.
We
So,
do.
and this is, we're just trying to also fill you in.
And I
You're
appreciate
getting
that.
it-
Any
yeah, you're
knowledge is
getting
good
thrown in
knowledge.
is-
Yes.
Over at Edgebrook, there is a drainage issue, and they went over, dug some stuff up, put some rocks out there. So my question would be, going back when you go to look at it, is, has it been fixed?
Right. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, we'll start looking into that.
You know, have we taken care of all the issues prior to spending $15,000-$20,000 to resurface the courts that are going to be flooded in the back corner and just a bunch of dirt and stuff on grime on them anyway?
Yeah.
And this goes back way before you. It goes back to my comments earlier, is concentrating on what we have, keeping up with what we have, and maintaining what we have instead of always going for something new. And again, we'll go back. Now we don't have anybody that's gonna go and check on Edgebrook. We're gonna spend $20,000 to resurface the courts. And is anybody gonna go over there to make sure that, you know, the fencing around, everything is kept up? We're making it attractive, and we've got in our master plan, it's marked off as Edgebrook as having lighted tennis courts. Yeah, they're locked. You can't get in and turn the lights on.
Okay.
So it's not an option, and if that's something that we advertise as having lighted courts, we're not being real truthful to everybody, because you can't turn them on. So I am one house away from those. I don't have a problem with the lights. They're on a timer. My bedroom is right there. I can definitely see. But I also liked the amount of pickleball, other things that the courts were being used for. When it gets dark at 5 o'clock at night, people were able to come out there and use them, and now they can't.
We've already been told multiple times that is fixable by the electric department, real easy.
Fixable bolt cutters.
But even the
Yeah, I mean, to put a timer on it,
light
or
sensors and timers can be done by them. They've already said they would do those.
Yeah.
So, without question. Okay.
moving on. Business items, mulch replacement plan.
This is mine.
There we go.
There we go.
So we've got Mr. Ricky, and we kind of discussed what his thoughts are, because he is with that, him and his guys handle the maintenance of it. What we're gonna do is not so much in the winter months, but we're gonna try to stir the mulch every 2 months. So like 2 parts 1 month, 2 parts the next month, and so on and so forth, to keep it from getting packed down. So they'll do the stirs throughout the year. And then starting next year, we'll replace the mulch in 2 parks each year. So we'll do 2 parks one year, 2 parks the next year. So that way we're not dumping a whole bunch in, but we're replacing what we're missing in those 2 parks and trying to keep that maintenance.
Have we, this one's gonna be another toss onto your plate.
Okay.
We've asked for 2 years now. I think you asked the last
I
time.
sure did.
What the cost of going to a different material is that's
Yep.
more permanent. You,
I actually have been looking at that for y'all because I know y'all been asking for it.
we've been asking and asking.
So I'm not sure why it's not in here, but I have it and I had it
Okay.
ready
Okay.
tonight. But I've looked at rubber flooring versus rubber mulch versus
Okay.
what it would look like. So, and I've actually got the square footage of the parks. And I've been kind of pricing around. So I actually have that stuff in my computer, but I have been looking into that for y'all, like the different options and cost wise. A lot of it is extremely high. I will tell you that, but I am looking into that.
Okay.
How long, in just out of curiosity, how long would it take us to recoup that cost?
Yes. That was what
If we have mulching that's gonna last 5 years, and we don't have to do this every 2 years and replace all the, and it's not as compacted, so we don't have to pay salary for fluffing or stirring. We have a lot less maintenance issues with it. Is that gonna be factored into a proposal you might have to bring to council to say, hey, I know this is an outlay in the beginning, long-term, we are going to save money because in 5 years,
See what
I
we're
will
going.
not have had to replace all these, not only the mulch costs, man hours. to make it
Perfect.
happen.
Okay. Yeah, I see definitely where you're
Yeah,
going with that.
and-
So I'll,
In my job on a daily basis, the term O&M, operations and maintenance,
Yes.
are a daily discussion. And that is a key factor in how we're gonna be able to get to that higher quality mulch like that, is because the maintenance cost of that in labor and all of that other stuff is gonna be ridiculously lower, even though the upfront cost is more.
right. I see it. Definitely. That's a good point. I like
So-
that.
More, it's more when it comes to the environment, when it comes to when you're talking about being more inclusive, if we have, if we are ever going to move into ADA, not just us claiming they are handicap accessible. If we are going to go into truly ADA approved parks, the mulch we have probably will not fly. It's going to have to be one of these other mulches that are
And I will tell, I'm even looking into like swing mats and slide mats, something to
Yes.
even preserve the mulch underneath the swing. I'm actually looking into those and getting pricing on those to, even if we can't go to that, what other options do we have to try to, cause you look at swings going in there and it's deep. So me and Michaela both have been kind of tag teaming that and working on that. And so I'm entertaining those ideas as well to try to help maintain what we have.
And those are types of things I think that the board here is willing to do, and I am willing to do also. If you say, hey, here's 3, can you look into these 3 mulches? Because one of the things that I did when I was asking about on the Parks and Rec staff, if we have somebody who is certified to be going around and checking out these playgrounds and making sure that we have somebody on staff who can say, yes, our parks are safe. More than likely, we don't. So we want to make sure those types of things. So if you have things you want to give back to us, I will speak for myself, is you feel free to shoot me an email and say, hey, check out these. I don't have time to do all these. Can you look into these mulches and get back to me by next week?
Okay, for sure. Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate
Same,
that.
same. I mean, this is a two-way street. We're asking a lot of you, but I promise you can, I don't know anybody up here right now that you couldn't lean on to ask to do something. We will help.
Yes.
I appreciate
And
that.
if you run into a roadblock while doing it and find something different, please reach out to us and say, hey, I'm going down this road. This looks a whole lot better. I don't want you guys to get upset that I don't have this. I'm not doing what you asked, but I am doing this. Is that?
Yeah.
Cool.
I
Absolutely.
agree.
No, because it is a business item, is that something that we have to take an action on? That is
I didn't
actually,
take action on any of them.
well, everything
Discussions
else
are
were discussions, but this is actually an action
Do we have to
item.
approve it?
Do we need to approve your mulching plan?
Yes, I would think so. Yes.
Okay,
Do we need to send it to the council? That's the question, really.
Or,
Have they
Because it
already,
has
I mean,
financial implications.
because it's the financial implications of it.
So
is why.
probably so. I think so.
Okay.
It would be like a council, board recommendation to
Yeah,
council.
so we need to make a recommendation that it goes to the board,
um,
or council rather.
because I am difficult sometimes in reading this, just because of the way I'm sending it, especially with it getting sent to council and with it saying starting next year, replace the mulch in 2 parks each year. I was wondering, since it's getting presented to council, if we recommend it, that if it need to say like, starting in
More
whatever
specific.
year, we're gonna replace the park and the mulch in these 2 parks, then the following year, we replace the mulch in that 2 park and the next other 2 parks. To make it more specific, because sometimes in this instance, specifics, at least naming the parks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would
Like
be
formal
good.
names and that kind
I
of
would
thing.
do that. I would also add parks that are not in it and why they're not in it.
Okay.
And
Just so that so that you're giving them whatever we're approving to go to them is a full picture, almost
Right,
looks
absolutely, yeah,
like an executable procedure.
I'll have that ready for y'all next
Awesome.
meeting. Absolutely.
And
because really what we're going for is this is just a overall plan, because it doesn't mean anything until we do the budget and we look into the budget and see what this, because that budget is going to go back again and tell us if we're traditional mulch, or we're gonna go with one of the other plastic or different mulches, in that plan, so that the mulch plan may change, because it may take us 4 years to cycle around. If it's a lot more money, we can only do 1 park a year.
Right.
And I might would, since you're having to look at redoing it anyway, I might would change it, instead of saying like starting next year, replace whatever, do it with odd number years, this part, even number years, that part.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
Just because then it has, longevity,
And-
continuity,
Yeah.
you know.
At least in this plan, if we do end up going with that one, flesh completely out the description you gave us of exactly how it's gonna work. Because just like he was talking about, all he gets to read is is the plan. All the council is gonna
Maybe
read,
just a piece of paper.
is gonna read that piece of paper and see that the recreation board said, yeah, we should do it, but then to keep them from having questions, it needs to be written out almost like a
Answer all the
procedure.
questions before they have them.
There you
Yes.
go.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, then they won't question. They'll go ahead and say, yeah, they said yes, and if I can read it and understand it, move forward.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have some of those every now and then.
Moving on to B, our handy dandy year at a glance calendar.
This was mine as well. Me and Michaela kind of talked about it, and we talked around to other other towns, and kind of got. So we're trying to push for a 1st and 15th registration start date, registration end date, because we feel like it'll stick more with. I know, hey, it opens on the 1st, it's going to close the 15th of the following month. So I know I have until then, because I know a lot of times we've had the issue of I didn't realize registration's closed, I didn't realize registration's open. So you'll notice that those dates are kind of more to a 1st and 15th, and then just the other picture days, things of that sort. Just kind of a general outline.
Well, I might as well start it off because I'm the troublemaker tonight. One thing that I happened to notice that was not included here that had been on prior year planner was anything about coaches meetings, like if we're trying to do them before registration starts, during registration, after registration ends.
Okay.
And especially if we are using if you're a coach and you can get a discount on you kind of need to be able to gauge interest, and in some ways, if it doesn't look like you're going to have enough coaches, do we need to limit the number of registrations we have and that kind of thing? So, I feel like we had just started back having the coaches meetings, and I know transitions are hard, and we wanted to make sure that coaches meetings got put back on the calendar.
Yeah, we're actually still planning to have those. I know soccer was a little array. I was just getting back from maternity leave, I'm gonna be honest with you. We do plan to have one for basketball. We were actually just talking about it today. We've had a ton of interest in basketball coaches, so we're going to get them all together and give them the whole rundown, and so that is still part of the plan. I didn't include them on those, so you're right. Yeah.
Other thing that, I don't know if you want to look at including, it was just on the prior year one, is the end of the season banquets, like the winter banquet, the spring banquet, the fall banquet, or if we were not doing those anymore.
So we are actually going away from those this year
How come?
due to cost.
Is there something to replace it? Like, I understand like the cost of the banquet and probably is the trophies and the food, but is there something to replace it where give coaches the opportunity to, maybe not a trophy, but you're the MVP certificate?
So we're
template?
looking at possibly some different routes of something substituting, like at the last game, coach will be provided with something or another. We're actually looking at that. They're still gonna get something, but not
Okay.
the actual food banquet kind of thing. But they're still gonna get something at the end of the game, at the last game.
Okay.
So then I'll say it, and that's terrible. So if it's something that we want to go and we want to uplift and we want to be the pillar of the community and do stuff, is that, that's to me something very, very, very insignificant that we can do to show as the town, to show the support to the parents and the kids for coming out and recognizing those kids for putting out the time and the effort that they did to
What's our
compete.
cost on? I mean, ballpark. I'm not looking for an exact number.
It depends on the season, how many teams we have, and that kind of
I
thing.
mean,
Because
are
we do like
talking-
a
Are we
RS.
talking we spent $20,000 on banquets, or are we talking we spent
No.
$1,200?
That they're included
Yeah.
on that. I don't have my glasses on. Banquet, fall was $831. Winter was $1,570. That was for the July 24 through June 25 fiscal year. So we're talking $2,500, less than $2,500, because they didn't have spring.
I would tend to agree that that's not the place to shoot ourselves in the foot to save money. The other thing I would say is it's kind of blindsiding for us to be the board that's supposed to be recommending the directions and all that, and get told, yeah, this part of the program's just been cut and gone. That happens to us a lot up here, and it's a very frustrating feeling, it being up here, to just find out something's cut and gone
I mean,
without
I'm
much
not even-
discussion.
I'm not necessarily even gonna say that I agree with completely getting rid of trophies, because it's 3 trophies per team. But even if you replace the trophies with certificates, which would greatly reduce the cost, if you just look at the food and drinks, for those 2 seasons, it was $1,300. I mean, come on. And that sounds terrible, but
Well, and
it's
I'm gonna lean
invest
hard
in
in.
the kids.
I'm gonna lean hard into this. Every kid loves having that trophy up on a shelf.
Ah.
Every one of them builds a special shelf in their bedroom. Find me a kid that had trophies that didn't do it.
And I know Don and I both know kids that have quit playing because they no longer could get a medal or a trophy or whatever.
They
So-
played and then they weren't given one, and they were given a very poor reason for not getting a medal. So they never came back.
I will pass all this
Yeah.
up.
And the calendar thing, I love having this section. First time we've been handed one in this kind of thing, which is nice. I would put summer camps. I would put dates that summer camps are going to be.
We
in there.
hadn't, when I did this, we hadn't specified
Okay.
yet, so that's the only reason I didn't do exact dates on this, but I will get those.
Yeah. Is that published on the website? This calendar at a glance?
I do know people have been asking questions.
I'd love to see that information disseminated publicly on the website. I really would, because this calendar right here would answer like 1,000 questions that come about. It really would.
I
very
would-
quickly.
Yeah, the only thing is that you have fall registration, spring registration. You need to list what those registrations are. If we know what sports we are going to offer, it wouldn't hurt to say spring registration, because you have indoor soccer, you have T-ball. So what else is there besides indoor soccer and T-ball that folks need to register for? You could get rid of a whole lot of stuff here, if you just indoor soccer, T-ball. These are the registrations for this month and when they're going to open. I would list out the sports and not just have, because our folks, the folks in there who might come and the participants, they may not know what fall registration is. So if you just list football, soccer, basketball, wrestling,
absolutely.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
they would know.
I had another question. I did not remember last year, and even when I went back and looked at the calendar, here T-ball is listed separate. Yeah, T-ball registration is opening when spring registration closes, and I thought last year T-ball, softball, and baseball were all on the same timeline. But I'm not. I
So,
didn't know.
so you said T-ball,
T-ball opens on February 15th,
right?
which is when spring is closing, but spring is baseball and softball, and I thought T-ball was usually the same time frame.
Yes and no. I went back and looked at detail when games actually started versus when registrations closed and open. And since we do T-ball most time with Scotty, we always started later.
So the registrations may have been at the same time, but the practices
Practice and everything started
stuff
later,
were
so I was getting the phone calls of when are we starting, this, that, and there. So I'm trying to adjust to make it more accommodating since we are, to make it more accommodating so that you're not, there's not a 2 month or a month period of waiting for practices to start. And
Oh no,
so I went back and looked like last year, year before last, and saw when the first game was and realized that how much later they started versus the baseball, softball, that kind of thing.
yeah, and I think I didn't have kids that play T-ball, so I was just looking at the registration dates.
Yeah,
from
absolutely,
prior
and I
years.
understand that's something we wanted to try this year to see if we do it later, it closes that gap of the parents' registration is closed and they're sitting for a month and a half calling saying when are we starting practices? And I don't want to start practices 2 months in advance. And you got 6-year-olds. I know my little girl's 3, but she was done with the first practice. So
Well, and I know from T-ball last year, we had some players because other towns closed their registration early. And so like you were still open, so we joined you. I was like, that sounds great. So yeah, if we can leave it open and there's less of a gap, that sounds good to me.
yeah, because like I said, we started consistently. The games start consistently around the same day.
Yeah.
Scotty's pretty good about that. So, and we were able to adjust that accordingly.
And we do the same thing with indoor soccer. It
Yes.
has its own
It has its own-
registration.
We run that
Yeah.
in house, so we have
Yeah.
complete control
Yeah.
over that.
I think my only concern, I completely understand having listing the different sports for people that don't know fall registration. I think my only concern gets to be is what if we were trying to add a program, but we don't have, like, we tried to add volleyball, but we didn't have, I thought, didn't we have volleyball registrations, but we didn't have enough people that signed up, so we
Oh,
ended
we
up.
had a volleyball.
Our team made this year. We had a
Oh.
volleyball team this year. Our first one, yeah.
But volleyball, cause see, I wasn't even on what season, cause it wasn't listed, but I think that's what I'm thinking is if we list all the things, it would just need to be on your SOPs to make sure if we add a sport for a season to update the yearly plan.
I mean,
I-
I would
I-
assume that
I-
that would become a rolling thing. 1 month rolls off and another month gets added to the end of it, and it just, you keep it rolling. It's gonna constantly be live.
Well, yeah, but
That would be my opinion, but
as she stated earlier, we hate to assume. So that's why I just was like, hey, we need to make sure it gets,
And that's something that we, at least I bring up, is people need to understand that once you put something up, if it's no longer usable, you need to figure out how to make it so that people understand that it's not current, it's not used, or you get to maintain it. So if you're willing to maintain this yearly planner wherever it is going to be posted, if it's going to be posted at all, Or is this in-house only, or?
I mean, as of right now, it is in-house only right now, but like I said, if y'all, like you said, you'd like to see it posted somewhere, we can see what avenues we have for that option.
Here's my reasoning. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna give an alternative that's something that I do in my line of work, rather than giving specifics of January 1st, registration opens, early January registration opens, and then parents at least know my kid wants to play indoor basketball.
Yeah, so you,
I know when it's gonna come about.
And that feeds into my comment.
Okay,
And that feeds in exactly to my comment.
Okay,
So
sorry.
on the next topic, we're talking about when we post what's coming up. If that calendar's not out there, how in the world are parents don't plan 1 week in advance what the kids are going to be doing? They're planning months and months and months, maybe 6 months or more, even a year in advance, depending on what it is, what the kids are going to be doing. Knowing just a little bit, not knowing what that tentative calendar looks like way in advance drives people away.
and I would completely agree with having, because I was thinking about that actually on the way into the meeting, instead of having definite dates, have definite dates internally. I don't even, honestly, I don't know that I would put picture day on the calendar that gets
No, I-
published.
oh no, that's not.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
no,
no,
that
that's
doesn't
definitely
even-
a day
Because-
for us internally.
Because this is
Honestly-
internal, you can have it on the internal thing, but I would definitely go like early January, early February, or, you know, mid-February, this is gonna close type
Yeah.
of thing.
When registrations are going to happen, ballpark. When practices are going to start, ballpark.
Yeah.
When games start, ballpark, and when the whole thing wraps up, ballpark. In that range. But those are things that parents want to know months and months and months in advance. Not,
Yeah, absolutely.
not just a week or two.
We get a lot of phone calls like, how long does the season run? How many weeks
Yep.
is the
And
season?
Right.
if they had all four of those things at a glance on a website, on the website, there would you wouldn't field all those questions. How many hours would you save in phone calls?
Oh, yes, she would. She
You're
would.
going to get a
You're
lot
still
less.
gonna get
'Cause
some. but
You're still going to
Yeah.
get some. You're never going to avoid them all. But how many are you going to reduce?
Right, but putting more information out there, like we have what we supply, what practices look
It
like.
looks better on us, I feel like, to
Yeah.
be
It
more
does.
informational
We're more
and more
competitive with
intentional.
other towns too.
Yeah.
That way of like, oh well, Selma has their year planned out, so I know my kid's gonna do these sports in Selma because we are available March to April to do
This,
Yeah.
this, and this.
this. Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, drives more traffic to us.
I want to be more intentional with my choices I make to make things better.
Yeah, and that's
Perfect.
what my point to publishing something of this similar nature up. But I know we need to move on because we are past. But
Yes. Okay, but that also, going back, it's an action item type thing, isn't it? Because it's a business item,
Yeah.
so, yeah, action item. So what's the action gonna be?
Make one up.
Making the
Okay.
action up.
well, we know we wanted some edits done to it.
Yes.
Right,
So, I'll make a motion that staff go back and make the changes that we talked about and come back to us with a plan for how this would become more published.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
we can approve it.
Yeah, like a published versus the internal.
Right.
Yes.
Yep, and the edits that we discussed.
With the
for
edits we discussed as
for
well.
both.
Mhm.
Yes.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, that's my motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Take a
I'm good with
second.
that. I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. So staff will go back, make some edits, and then come back to us and let us know the two kind of versions,
Yeah, absolutely.
internal and what is going to be on the website.
And public.
The sports advertising.
Per y'all's request, we were put together a signage and posting policy for when registration's open, what we're gonna try to follow. We're looking at getting some not generic banners, but a banner with the QR code that can be up when the sports. So we have a banner to put out for each season, but not having to buy banners for each season. But so
One
okay,
banner for
Yep.
sports for some.
Reusable.
yes, and
Yep.
so we're looking at getting some of those, And so that'll kind of follow in with this policy.
Are you thinking the QR code driving them to the town's website, to the Facebook, to
To
the
rec desk.
rec desk?
But it's going to be to where if we need to replace it or whatever, it's going to be like a detachable QR code is what we're
Sure.
trying to look at.
Okay.
So it's something that if it needs to be changed, removed, fixed, it's something that's easily replaced.
Then you can get one of those banners with a sticker on it.
Mhm.
I was
Pull
gonna
the
say
sticker-
giant sticker.
Yep. You pull the sticker off, put a new one on.
Yep. So if something were to
Understood.
change, we have that option to
Yep.
make that change.
I only have one change I want done to it. I want another line in there for what we just discussed, which is the ongoing upcoming calendar. Because that really needs to be in the pre-registration promotion part. Because right now, the only pre-registration promotion part this policy would allow for is 1 week of Facebook announcement. It wouldn't allow for posting on the town's website or a calendar like we just discussed. So we need that in there.
Okay.
For if this is gonna actually become a policy that the council stamps and says this goes in as number XYZ.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, I have more than one.
No, I just said that was mine.
I was wondering if, because right now it's sports signage and posting policy, I don't know if we necessarily want to say sports, because wouldn't this also include summer camp? And summer camp is more than just sports. So maybe,
Parks and
Parks and
Recreation
events,
activity.
Yes.
activities,
Okay.
something.
Parks and recreation activity.
yeah. I think in the second section with the registration opening day, again, especially if this is something that has to be presented to town council, then where you have on the second bullet, place yard signs and QR codes in visible community areas, I might would do like comma, such as the library, Blakely Park, and name specific places that you're looking at posting them. But make sure it's gonna be places, you don't wanna list places where you're not gonna put them. I mean, you're gonna have to be consistent about it, so make sure. Just listing where you would always put them.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only places we'd have legal rights to do them would be the parks themselves, city hall, and we could probably get permission at the schools.
What, in the library?
Yeah, like that's what any
Yeah,
city,
oh,
any
yeah.
town building.
Well,
Yeah, so city hall, finance off in front of the finance office, the library, the convention center, all of those buildings.
yeah, but I guess I didn't know if we normally posted them at all the parks, or
That's
if
a
we
good
only
question.
usually posted at like Blakely Park because we have activities that happen at Harrison and Blakely. I mean, have we ever posted at Sumner or?
We've had one at Edgebrook forever.
Yeah, because I've seen it at Edgebrook, and I know I've seen the one at the library. So I don't know where we normally post them, but that is why I was gonna, and not necessarily limit yourself, but just say such as, unless ones that we know we're gonna post it at Blakely, or we know we're gonna post it at Harrison Complex, because then that covers Blakely and by the pick.
Well, and I mean, baseball should be obviously done at Bragg, when it's back to being open. And yeah, but so that is an interesting point.
The other thing, and I don't know where it would go, maybe under the registration opening, but I thought we had an agreement with the schools to have, that they would put things
The
on their
digital billboards.
digital
We did.
billboards.
So that needs to be added.
So I would add that, and also the fire
The fire
department.
department's digital billboard
Yep.
as well.
We stole mine.
I was not sure if, because you've got this section about combined reminders, if only 2 to 3 sports are open. I'm like, I don't know if it really needs to be in there like that, or maybe remove the other section, because right now, don't we typically only have 2 to 3 sports per season?
Well, is it just the differentiation between individual sports?
Yeah, I say Michaela,
Right
Michaela
above.
can answer some of this. She's actually one to work on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, the combined reminders would be if I was posting, like, I don't know if you've noticed, I've started posting like one flyer that has multiple
Yep.
like all the sports, and then I'll do like individual. On the individual ones, putting on at the very bottom reminder that we also have. I know like this past one we had like the cheerleading and basketball. So if I did cheerleading, I'd put like reminder basketball registrations are still open, so that people aren't getting the idea of it's only cheerleading off of that one post, and then when they look at it, they can see it's also basketball. Just kind of highlighting everything. So that's where the combined reminders is. What is kind of what I was saying. If I post an individual one, I would add at the bottom reminder that, basketball or
For the purpose of a policy, you could probably clean that up by just doing each week, make an individual and or multiple sport.
Yeah.
okay.
And that way you just wrap that whole thing up and be more clean, and it would match more closely to what you're gonna see in other policies.
Okay.
Instead of being like this. And it's not that this is bad. That's a
Yeah.
good thing to have that reminder. You just might
Right.
have a little bit cleaner language that would
Yeah.
work better for a policy to be that way.
100%. Yeah.
Would it make sense to generalize from Facebook to social media?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And actually you have railroad tracks in here, but tracks the newsletter. Like I just opened mine yesterday and I read the entire thing. So putting when registration lines up with the town newsletter, does that need to be in here?
Yes.
Okay. Just getting it out there more and more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, but
yeah,
like,
I
yeah.
did put it in here, yeah.
you do the work, get recognized for the work. Yeah.
And that's the thing is, if we put it into a policy, we don't want to limit you.
No,
We
no,
want
no.
to make sure the policy is broad enough that you can continue to do new things and not limit yourself. Because when something's a policy, if it says we're going to do X, you must do X.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it is not written in a way to allow you to do Z and Q, you can't do either. It's just the way policies work in the government circle.
And this to me is maybe a wording thing with the final reminder before closing, because it said if time allows, continue posting individual sports and then post a final registration closing soon. So I'm like, but to me, final reminder is it's the last day. So then I don't understand that if time allows or registration. You know what I mean? And maybe it's the title of that section. Something about that is just not.
So is this supposed to be wrapping up? Hey, don't forget to register. Sports closes
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would try to do like a count, yes, like she said, a countdown, for the last few days, and I usually try to kind of plan it out, for it to kind of say, like, I'm gonna use like a week, do like a flyer that has all the sports, then I'll individualize each, and then do on the last reminder, do the flyer that has all the sports again.
Yeah, there's something
There's-
there. If I were sitting auditing you from that standpoint of my life, I'd get you every time on that first line. You'd have an open box there every time on me. I know what you're trying to accomplish. I'm trying to think of how to do that. Because open-ended things like that are challenging. When you say if time allows,
Mhm.
I'm going to want to know how you measure time allows.
Yeah.
That's going to be my
Your
very first-
time, my time, her time?
What about what if it was like final week of closing reminders and
I mean,
then
it can
put-
be removed and put like you just said, the final week we can have multiple posts of
So I don't want you to get, so one of the things I noticed right away is, I don't want you to get caught up in all these headers.
okay.
I'd get rid of them. Because then you're gonna get rid of what you're trying to do. This is not pre-registration. This is a timeline. This is a timeline for every sport. It should be the same no matter if it's a April to June sport or if it's a December to March sport. It doesn't matter. The timeline and what you are going to do for those individual sports is the same.
like you could put, post
Because you're gonna get rid of this. You're gonna post it on social media. You're gonna put it on social media again with the registration is now open. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. you're gonna go down. It doesn't, I don't need a heading that says registration opening day, ongoing promotion, combined reminders, final reminder. I don't need that. Get rid of those headings and just have it flow from start to finish.
Almost like a procedure, like truly like a procedure, so that it's a policy that can be followed, turned into a procedure that you follow.
Like you
You're
might,
right, that's what it was that's catching me.
Mhm.
I was trying to figure out what it
This
is.
is,
but
this is
that's
the
what it is.
behind the scenes. We need the, what's public
But like
to
when I read
everybody, yeah.
policies at work all the time, all of them, that's, I mean, they're bullet pointed out as to what's gotta be.
Yes.
What it is, there aren't any, you're right. That's what it was.
Because one of the
That's
things I'm
what-
gonna ask you to do is to try to, at the end, you're gonna have an all-encompassing bullet that is going to say, staff will be allowed to post year-round any sports, any events, anything that are upcoming, not dictated by this policy. We're gonna have a statement in there, open-ended, that is going to allow you, softball wants men's or the outdoor 3-on-3 basketball that we did that worked or didn't work, I don't know. But it'll be in here so that you can post and you're still gonna follow this kind of same, but at the end, it's gonna say, hey, our policy says I can do this, and this is what I should be doing.
Including but not limited to.
Yeah.
Those are the key, those are those
Yes.
magic words.
now,
Yeah, and he is absolutely right. That your last one needs to basically be your open door to be able to accomplish the things you need to accomplish to do your job that aren't limited by the others that are suddenly you're being, strung up by those. We get the nature park done up and there's a frisbee golf course out there. We may have random golf tournaments out there. We have no expectation right this minute of how in the world that would work. You don't need to have to rewrite this policy, do an amendment to this policy just to start covering something that's gonna be on a random schedule that's completely off base of this. That would make your job way too hard.
And it's the same thing, I mean, because I go here and hang banners at the following locations. So I think of, it's the beginning, but if you're gonna do the middle school, I would think I would take offense if I'm the elementary school and I don't get a banner.
yeah, but elementary school has the digital billboard that it's gonna have a thing on, and the middle school doesn't.
What if they get one next year?
Well, then we gotta change the policy.
So, and
Or-
what is I would just be,
Or,
I wouldn't have, the catch my eye location,
I say,
You could sum all of it up with all appropriate and available locations.
Okay.
And that way you don't have to fight with the policy. You're not gonna have to keep fighting with it every time you try to do something. Cause if somebody's standing over your shoulder, looking at you, doing an audit of you following policies and procedures,
So
they're gonna wanna do that.
my question to you is, if we don't want to name specific areas for the banners, do we want to name specific areas for the yard signs, or do we want to kind of go with the same?
I think you should honestly just do it as generic and open.
Yeah.
Will be
Okay.
placed in all appropriate locations.
Okay.
Cause that way
well,
you
and
don't
it's like you
get-
could do promote registrations through the use of digital billboards, yard signs, and banners at da-da-da. So then you've got all three things in one thing.
You're giving yourself a very open-ended use
Yeah.
for the policy that way, instead of trying to list everything and you can't know tomorrow.
you're trying to do this, but what I see here is you're trying to set something up that,
Sorry, she said that.
yeah, no,
You know?
that everybody is going to, one of the things that I deal with for the whole state in my job is policy. So I have to remind myself, policy has to be followed by everybody. And if this is what we're doing, I want to leave it to staff. If we're getting work done and it's open registration and we have to route people around the railroad tracks because that's a detour now and everybody quits using it, I don't want to put a banner out there. I want to put a banner where it needs to go.
Leave it
I
open
want
for
to leave
Yeah.
it open to
changes.
the
Yes, absolutely.
staff
If a
to-
truck jumps the curb and takes out that beautiful digital sign at the elementary school, it's not gonna go back very quickly.
Right.
It's gonna take a long time.
So we
for
may
it
need to
go
place
back.
a banner versus digital. Perfect,
So-
yeah, leave it
So
open
leave
generic.
yourself open, give yourself enough room to put it wherever you wanna put them, and whatever type you wanna put, don't limit yourself.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure, we'll work on
Yeah,
that for y'all.
Cause I think you're gonna be a lot happier with that rather than
Limits.
limits and then somebody coming to you after
I-
and saying you broke the rules.
Right. I think this is great because I think you're wanting to show, hey, we thought about this. We want to do a better job of advertising. This is, we have the ideas here. These are great ideas. Now I want to go back to, I don't want to limit you to these ideas. Because you
Right.
know, if Kim takes a job next week working in the town and she's got fabulous ideas that she can't do because now we have a very limiting policy.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Because I know we are all ready to go home. I've got two things just to throw out there in regards to this. Is I know it appears a lot of this. I know we're trying to get away from the timeline thing, so I don't even know if this needs to be addressed. Was a once a week type post, but I know I was just last week in a meeting and there were marketing people that were in there and they were like, it takes 7 to 8 touches for somebody to take an action. So I get concerned, especially if we're only looking at registrations being 7 to 8 weeks long, because they're 45 days and we're posting once a week and social media algorithms suck. So should y'all potentially look at if you can schedule the post like maybe 2 a week or something like, I'm just concerned that only doing 1 a week, it's not going to get the promotion that it needs. And then the last thing that I was going to bring up was, I feel like before, one of the things that Leah had been doing was trying to put flyers at the beginning of registrations for a season or before they started, taking them to the elementary school.
We do that currently still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to check, because to me
Yeah, we
that
still
would
currently do
be
that.
part of the advertising of the things.
And it's good, but it also does depend on the elementary school.
Oh,
Getting them home on
100%.
time.
100%.
The day of doesn't help.
Be careful with quantities. If you put that you gotta do 2 social media posts a week
Yeah.
and you don't do it,
What about if we use multiple?
you can do other language that's more open,
Yeah.
like as many as possible, things like this.
At a
nature.
minimum,
At a minimum,
Appropriate.
one.
but yeah, at a minimum 1, that
Yeah.
allows you as many as you want, but
Yeah.
you have to at least do 1.
At least do one.
Don't get yourself into a situation where if you suddenly lose staff, you have no one to do the job. Because then
Yes, I
you're
agree.
not doing the policy.
Yeah.
That becomes a problem.
And I think to me, the way this read was, we're not going to do any more than 1.
Yeah.
And
at
I
a
don't
minimum
want
1.
it to be that.
Okay,
either.
we'll fix
Yeah,
that.
at a
Perfect.
minimum 1
Yeah.
would work real well for that.
Yep.
So, I have one thing that I just want to, is in that, I'm gonna go back real quick, because I just see my note here, on your master plan. The master plan, if you go back and read it, it says no pets, or there is a new ordinance or something that was written about no pets in any of our parks. Pets are not allowed unless it's a seeing eye dog or something like that. Please review and check that. It needs to be removed. I have seen plenty of animals at the soccer games. I have seen numerous staff from town there. I have Edgebrook, multiple people walk their dogs. My concern is we are putting something out there that we are not going to enforce. Or we are going to be very selective, and that's going to cause heartache. Until we get a dog park in town, that does not need to be written for all parks. My opinion.
So, okay, bring me up to speed. This became a policy when?
It's not a policy, is it just
It's
written?
no alcohol, no pets
Yeah.
outside of dog parks are allowed in any park property,
Yeah, it
but
is.
then.
It's in the
we have
master
dog
plan?
parks. Yep,
Yes.
in this packet, it's on page
That was
31.
struck like 3 versions ago.
It sure was, because why is it in the same line with
Yes.
alcohol? That makes no sense.
That was literally struck like 3 versions
And
ago.
we added some
Okay,
about
well,
firearms.
See, I remember.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. Let me try to get the
Yeah.
version that we have because there's no reason for us to get, you're right, because I remember having that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we struck
Yeah.
that,
We
like,
struck the whole thing.
we struck
because
that whole thing because of the new rule downtown, and the no pets in parks was ridiculous.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
pets off leash was acceptable, but,
Yeah.
okay.
That's good.
We have something to do. I will go back and try to find and search my stuff and find that. So you guys have been more than gracious enough to
I hate to
accommodate
do it,
us.
But I'm gonna use the board members report thing before
Okay.
we go.
No, you are, I was getting to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the last thing though is that
Oh, wait. no.
advertising policy,
Yeah, we gotta take an
Yeah, we gotta take
action.
an action.
take an action on that advertising policy.
You go for it.
Okay, I seem to be speaking too much tonight.
I don't wanna talk. I'm good.
I make a motion that we let them go back and do the edits we talked about to make it look more in line with the proper policy. They seem to understand the things we requested, so that should be good, and then come back to us at the next meeting for approval to go to the council.
Okay, I have a second.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Board members, reports and recommendations.
I would like for the next official meeting, which is what, February?
Possibly.
We need to, because that's also the meeting that I would imagine, if we were going to renew the Carolina Thunder basketball contract, do we have any idea if we're looking at the renewing that contract? I have concerns, which is I had really hoped we would have time tonight, but it's been a really long meeting. Because that is one thing that it would be great if they are providing us with the schedule, like according to the contract they were supposed to provide us. If we could get that posted, because it seems like now a lot of the advertisement for that there's going to be a skills camp is like 3 days before the skills camp, and that because there's some posts that I just go to look to see, oh, is there going to be one this weekend kind of thing, because I have been trying to share it to some other groups. And I don't know if it's just, I don't know, and I'm not hearing,
Good things.
yeah.
Sure. So nothing.
When have you?
Yeah.
So I think that was
Okay.
all that I got.
You guys, is that okay? Can we get that? We would just like to have it on the next time as a discussion point on there for the Carolina Thunder and any other sports or any such that has come to you, because
Because that
we'll
would
go
be
back. We feel that they are getting a large, if they're utilizing what they're getting, if they're actually using it for their practices and their games, we are feeling they are getting a lot for very little.
and that would also be around the time that other contract would be up for renewal, but I don't even think that ever came to fruition, because I don't think they
JCC?
provided
No.
the football association.
Oh.
North Carolina football, because I don't think they ever provided the insurance stuff they had to,
I don't think they-
but we need to discuss those.
Okay? And you guys get a email. So if we forget, if they got a ton of stuff to do, if we forget, try to remind so that when Dalton sends it
Yes.
out, we can have it added. I'm sure you guys get these, so if you feel, you can just email Dalton directly back and he'll put it on the agenda. If you feel it has to go through me, send it to me and I'll send it to Dalton.
Who do you wanna go next?
You.
The
Shannon.
dirt work at the soccer field. Oh, y'all knew that was coming up. Come on. Y'all know me better than that. What's going on? Anybody know?
It's being handled by facilities, so I know it is in works to get the fill in some of the holes, get it more level, make it safe for the kids to play on.
Okay.
But as for deep down details, it's being handled by facilities. I know it's to better the fields, yes.
Okay.
The plan.
So I'm gonna say before you have, to say, this is another thing that we're being blindsided by, because we've never even been approached that, and I think going back to being fiscally responsible, we're gonna sit here and spend how much? I'm just gonna use a number. It's $100 a load for dirt. I went by and there's 12 out there. So we just spent $1,200, and these are made up numbers. If anybody's looking at it, is that we spent money to do something. And when do we plant? Did anybody research? When do we plan to plant some grass? Are we
So-
going to plant some grass?
I did do the research on that
I
topic.
deal in agriculture. I know when to plant the grass. And so I'm kind of wondering why we're made a big mud pie out there all winter. And
My
we're not
issue-
going to have anything established.
My issue is for me, and I know we're losing audience over here, but I spent in excess of probably 60 hours or more doing the first plan for what we're trying to get Harrison to look like. That dirt work just put a giant backwards movement in that, trying to get to that goal. All that planning, all that project of planning that stuff out, that dirt work's not gonna meet the grade of soccer field we are trying to get to. Period. It's just not gonna happen.
So I think what you're trying to get at is that, again, I think anybody up here, we would have brought up and we would have said, hey, why?
Why?
Can you guys give us a not you guys, I'm just talking. Is it, why are we spending money on something that then turned around and we're gonna ask the town to spend $250,000 to do something else,
$1 million for that whole place.
and we wanna waste money to do something that is not going to be ready, or if it's going to be ready, I feel like somebody just took it upon them as their responsibility as the same thing. And I'd tag on to this is all the nice boxes that were put at the parks around. Who's going to do the O&M for all those plants and the mulch and stuff in there? It's just little things like that you have to understand. And it goes back to my rant last time is things are moving forward. We've been told that, they want our opinion. They want us to they want to be utilizing these advisory boards to get things to council for council to approve. And it doesn't seem like anything is coming by here to go to council. It's just going, and I'm not sure it's even going through council. So I've read, or I've done a lot of stuff and tried to watch those. I don't know who authorized, because I've asked council members and they don't got a clue. So,
I would agree. That was the last council meeting. I know that one. I'm gonna be the one this Friday too.
so,
I'm done.
okay.
I drove by there and saw that dirt, and that was not gonna not get said.
Cause it got added, and this is another one. Now we have some concrete carnival boards there that, and I was also told when it rolled out, just to keep you guys up to date, is that when we did the pickleball courts, that rock was not in the original design and we were doing something. We've never done anything. The rock that's around the pickleball courts, so.
No, I'm good tonight.
You're good tonight? I appreciate you guys taking here and coming, and if we haven't said it, we know you guys are getting thrown into this, and we really honestly look forward to working with you. But we only ask that utilize us, because you can tell we got a couple up here that we kind of get grumpy real quick when we're going to come back in 3 months and there's been a whole lot of stuff been done and we've never been involved. So with that said, go ahead and adjourn this meeting.